What's up, it's Jim from Techno Vault. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make screeches for hard techno, industrial techno. In Vital, you can obviously use this for hardstyle too. I took some presets from our Techno Screech preset pack that you can download with the link below, and they sound something like this. Before I dive into it, join our Discord server, it's worth it, link below. Also, whatever I'm gonna make, because it's gonna be from scratch at the end of the video, you can download that for free. Let's get into it. So what you want to start off with is an initialized preset like this. Take down the release, because we don't want any release. And we're gonna take down the voices to 1, so we can make it mono. And then we can just also add some glide and put it on like legato. Just to make sure that we're not gonna get screech chords. This is our setup, right? You'll have to know a few places in Vital where you will probably craft your screeches 99% of the time. And it has to do with the following places, okay? The unison amount, and the phase. Then we can go into filters and add resonance. We can change the filter to a bandpass or a high pass. We can also choose different filter modes, which are going to be important. And then finally, once you've added that, you can also play around with the pitch right here. We're going to play a lot with this based on envelopes or LFOs. In the effects section, you will probably use distortion on hard clip because it's one of the only ones that's good with a lot of drive. Then we're going to add a compressor, and this is a multi-band compressor. And then we can play around with the multi-band compressor as well to make it pop even more, but you don't always have to. Finally, we're gonna maybe add some reverb and delay like this. And you can also spice up your screech probably in the stereo image, and then stereo plus distortion obviously makes a big screech. So you can also add a chorus or a flanger or a phaser, which is gonna be in front of everything. But I'll show you a good screech because this sucks obviously, and we're gonna build it step for step, okay? Let's start off with the fact that we have unison. If I add more voices, it gets more detuned. Then I can change the unison detune power. I think like how many voices are in the middle and then how many are stacked and detuned against it, just like this picture shows here. Then we can detune it more. And obviously big detuned screeches are on 100% 16. The phase is basically how random the phase starting point is. So whenever we play a waveform and we put it on 100% like this, it's just gonna play it at a different spot each time. So if I then take this down, it's just going to play it at the same phasing start point each time, which results in a different sound if we detune it. So you get a more lasery sound. So you can play around with this, the detune, the power, and the phasing. I just generally put it at around this, and the phasing, I don't really touch it for now. If you want to make it sound more analog, just take down the phase a little bit like this. It gives it that initial click and it sounds a little bit more analog, I think. So let's play around with the pitch. So you can use an envelope or an LFO. So when we use an LFO, you can see you have different modes: trigger, sync, and envelope. Trigger means whenever I trigger the sound, it's also going to play the envelope. So if I add this to the level, it'll play up indefinitely because it's an LFO, but I can put it on sync, which means it's just basically playing all the time. And whenever I play it, it has already been playing, as you can see. Then I can put it on envelope, which just makes it an envelope and it plays one time. That's all you need to know. Then you can change the tempo right here on notes, or you can change it to seconds. So I like to just place it on seconds because I can go very, very fast. I can put it on like a very high rate like this. And now we're gonna use this on sync mode, and we're gonna add this to the fine tune. Screechy sound, but it's out of pitch, and that's because you go into the matrix and you put it on bipolar. So now it's going to go from 0 to plus, from 0 to minus, instead of 0 to plus, plus to 0, 0 to plus, it's going to hover around the 0 instead of like from one place to the other, whatever. It stays in key, right? Here we created a screech. You can combine it and it's better. So then you can also play around with the voice transposition. So 12 is an octave. You put the envelope, for example, on an attack like this, envelope 2, not 1, because 1 is volume. So if we play around with this, we're also changing the volume. So that's why I take 2. Then I add this to the voice transposition, and it's going to go up an octave immediately. Now we just make sure that it doesn't go up too much. We can double click this and enter a value of 12, for example, and then it's an octave. Cool, we have an attack. Now we can change this envelope and create different screeches. So here's a stabby one. We can also do this, and we have the dive bomb. Or longer. So play around with that, then play around with this, and you can create a bunch of different screeches already. So remember all these settings. Let's get into the filter, and in the filter we can first start off with something like an analog 24 or 12. So it starts off like this, a low pass. I'm gonna make an attacky one. Cutoff and resonance. But the filters don't really do anything until it's distorted, so let's add distortion. Once you play around with filters, add distortion, just remember. So here you have different sounds. And the mid-band range combined with resonance sounds very dope, so that's why I put it on a bandpass, and I've changed it to 24 dB so it's tighter. So let's add another LFO on sync mode with tempo 2 bars, and then we're gonna add it here, and it's just gonna move around. Fix the mix or make it 12 again. To spice it up, LFO 1 is very fast. We can add it on the low rate as well. There you go. Instead of using filter 1, filter 2, find something in the comps section or the phaser section. So in this case, this is cool. Select oscillator 1. All these different places that you can go. This really changes the tone. So play around with these. If you want to make a weird screech, right? Let's add some effects. So reverb, delay. Just make delay look like this. Add the tempo on 1/4 and just make sure that it's ping-ponging. 1/4, 1/2 is perfect. Then for the reverb, make it look like that. Time can go up to like 4 seconds. And then I would just want to add a compressor afterwards. Cool. I will also add an EQ afterwards, just to clean it up. Don't do it too much. Maybe I want the delay after the compressor. Cool. So now we can add some detune. And that sounds pretty aggressive already, right? And then you can do this filter. Or this filter. Pretty nice. Then you can go in front of your distortion, and I'm just going to disable the detuning right here. We can add this distortion and then a chorus in front. And the chorus is kind of a detuning. It's kind of detuning, and you can change the voices, the tempo as well. Choose which place you want and choose different modes, you know, play around with it. Nice, we can add another filter. So maybe we go this again, and then we add a lot of resonance, like this. And we can have this move around because it sounds cool. So, and then this one and this one. Go higher. You can see that there's so many modes you can go just by changing this, changing the phase, changing this one. Then also changing the filters, changing different filters, distortion modes, chorus, reverb, delay. And then you can even go further. So let's get rid of the filter so it's clear. We can add another waveform and we can start playing around with FM. So if we add FM, this oscillator from oscillator 2, but we disable the level of 2. You get different screeches too, and then you can change this wavetable to something crazy, like, let's find a cool one. That's industrial type shit. Different modes, different sounds cool. Final thing you can do is go into white noise, disable the level, and then just FM it from the sample instead. And sometimes that sounds dope too. So just remember the places that I've just went and just try to make a bunch of different screeches, and I'll just make some right here. So let's start off with this one. That's a screech. I'm just gonna do another one. Something that's obviously very simple, the most classic one. Then we can have LFO 1 or LFO 3 actually on sync mode and seconds. Just move around on the voice transposition slightly. It's a classic one, and then we can take another one. So we clone it, and then we're gonna maybe FM it from B. Find a weird one. Filters. You know, I'm just playing around. Nice. And we can use this filter without any automation and like without any effects. So maybe this one, so that it doesn't do anything, but we add drive. And then we have some attack. There you go. So you can download this for free below, join our Discord server. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.